Good evening, everybody. This is the Big Chonis. Thank you so much for joining me on this April 4th, 2019. About 45 minutes after the daily candle close of Bitcoin, East Coast, US of A. Great to have you here with me. Hoping to get Big Cheds on here in a couple minutes so we can debate and talk about what we've seen here in the Bitcoin price action. Remember to follow me on Twitter at Big Chonis. Remember to follow me on YouTube, chonistrading.com. And remember to give me a thumbs up here on this content if you enjoy this. Remember to hit the thumbs up button.
Thumbs
You
up.
can also check out this Big Chonis here, bigchonis.com, chonistrading.com, where I talk about my online personalized mentoring, where it's a way for you guys who one-on-one with me can discuss everything from trading tactics to how to properly use TradingView. And intro session, just $120 for the first hour there, gives you a chance to really hone your skills there and get you into more of a very solid trading mentality and how to deal with this crypto market there. So please feel free to reach out to me on DM or bigchonis@gmail.com. Let's get the big Cheds in here. Cheds, can you hear me, buddy?
I can hear you. Can you guys hear me? Okay.
I think we're doing good here. I can hear you, and I think let me just double check here. Yeah, I think we're good, buddy.
Yeah. So I'm curious. So how does that mentoring thing work? Like, how do you approach it? You know, because everybody's like different, right? How do you know like how to talk to, or what they need?
Sure. Well, I have pretty much a questionnaire that I send new students, basically a chance for me to understand kind of where they're coming from. As you said, everybody has their own personal style, has their background, a certain amount of money that they're prepared to dedicate to crypto. So, each person's individuality, I'm able to kind of, help them figure out which trading strategy and which way to specifically approach crypto, based on their individual situations. That's the important thing, as you've talked about a lot as well, being able to find your own style and define that. And, we talk about using the resources that we have online, but learn and use that from a wide variety of people. And in doing so, learn to figure out your own trading style. So that's what I hope to kind of accomplish in the time that we have together.
Good. Excellent. So where do you want to start?
So listen, I got the Bitcoin on here. We are starting now. So let me get
the Bitcoin, right?
You may have heard of it. So listen, I just want to do a kind of a basic talk about kind of just what's happened the past week. Listen, Cheds, I mean, we've been in this market for, we can say, several years now. And I think one of the reasons why we really like Bitcoin and crypto so much is that we have these incredible moves that we get to basically be part of that happen in crypto in such a very short amount of time. I think the volatility of crypto and kind of what it just brings to us is just incredible. So this move here, I want to talk a little bit about kind of what's truly happened here. More importantly, where we've currently found resistance. And I think about what we've been debating basically over the past 24 hours here is because we've had such a volumetric move here. I mean, these volume bars are nuts. Are we really expecting a much more significant pullback?
Well, let me stop you. So what
Continuation?
are we? 4-hour chart. Like, where's the last time we had this much volume? It was kind of on the capitulation, right, on the way down.
Absolutely, we have not seen volume like this since mid-November
On
through
a 4-hour.
December.
On a 4-hour.
On the 4 hour, and the reason I want to bring up the 4 hour is because we have to be consistent here. We had a tremendous volume bar on this green 4 hour candle that brought Bitcoin's price action from the 4,100s, $1,000 to 5K, and then some there before the retracement. Now you fast forward here, what about 10, 11 4 hour candles later, and we have a higher high volume bar on
Similar.
this high, I mean, just a hair higher, but I'll give you, it's very similar here on this tremendous, upper wick, lower wick volume that for now has marked our top out at 53.43.
Yeah, I mean, so that's kind of so for me, I'm a candlestick trader and volume trader. So for me, like there's two candles that are telling us big things. Like, so we'll take the first one. It's not a Maribozu, right? Because it doesn't have a shaven top. It's got the upper wick.
I'm on the 4 hour here. Do you want me to stay in the 4 hour?
No, that's good. We can use this. Will illustrate the point. So, we'll just talk about that briefly. So that candle, based on the size of the real candle body, like it's still a pretty good sized real body, right? From the open to the close. And the amount behind it, that suggested continuation. And what did we get? We got continuation. So that checked out. Okay, so that's part one. What's part two of that? Is support will be the midpoint of that real candle body, which is around 4,500. The midpoint of the white body there. So based on candlestick theory, the midpoint of that big white candle is going to be support, right?
So
a little bit lower,
around 45.
Too
40.
high. Midpoint of the body from the open to the close. Take the mid of the open and the close, not the whole day's range, not the whole candle's range.
Well, open to close.
No. Open to close, not the upper shadow, just the body, just the real
body. Okay, so I can come down a little bit here, right?
Yeah, up right there, roughly. Good enough. So that's the concept. So that's the first thing. That's that candle. Second candle is high wave. It's not a high wave spinning top. It's not a small real body. It's the long upper and lower shadow that you pointed out. The big red candle, big Chonis. So that's there's two things that I'm looking right out. The first candle, we talked about that. The second candle, that's kind of it's a contemplation candle. It's kind of a consolidation candle. It really tells you that you have to slow down. It's a green light turn yellow. Yeah, it's green to yellow, not green to red. Green to yellow.
Right, and you could argue that there was a lot of profit taken here at the very tippy top of this here.
Yeah. Where's your BB? I can't see the BB. That would tell us too.
Sure. Let me bring that up here, and then I'm gonna pull off my EMA 12 and 24 here.
Okay, cleaner. Yeah, that's good.
And so yeah, listen, I'm on the 4 hour here. This is the first time we've tested middle Bollinger support, and we're seeing a decent bounce from 48. We actually broke 4,800 just by a hair there, and we've risen about $160 here currently. As we're only the first hour of the brand new day. This is the first hour of this 4 hour candle here. Still 3 hours left to go, but definitely a move here. And what we're really trying to test is the lower range here of these several 4 hour candles that consolidated just a hair over 5,000 until we have this breakdown. And now arguably we're just back testing an area that did act as support. And that could potentially be acting as resistance all the way up to around the 5K area.
No, I mean, yeah, clearly we have some support here on the way up. We have the consolidation after that big white candle. You talked about that. And on that profit-taking candle, we were within the upper BB.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like our classic, launching above type of move.
And just, we see this a lot on the 4 hour. You have that initial breakthrough. So you get that impulsive initial wave here, bust through the Bollingers, which were very tight, on the 4 hour here. And then, so it bullish, okay, which is going to ride the upper BB there. And then that second attempt to break through, theirs, as you pointed out, was that rejection there. So when you get that strong of rejection on the upper Bollinger, middle BB support is that area you test next.
Can you look at something? I'm on my own screen. I'm just spotting it, but I'm spotting some bearish divergence. 15-minute chart. I know we were talking about lower time frames.
15 minutes.
Well, because it looks like it could be bouncing, right? But I'm suspecting the volume. Pull up the OBV versus price on the 15-minute. So look at the higher highs
All right. Yeah, I can do that. If my computer can figure it out. Here we go.
So OBV, look at the OBV is kind of flat. Little bit up, but it's kind of flat. And that you adjust for auto or whatnot, or kind of stretch it out if you can. But you're getting much higher highs on the price versus the OBV. So I don't feel
All
like
right. Well, yeah.
I don't feel
Yeah.
like the accumulation. Essentially, point I make is I don't feel like it's accumulating in the sense of what it doesn't. It's not playing out like a bottom should play out.
Well, listen, we're on. I mean, if you want to refer to the 15-minute, that's fine. We have to make 15-minute chart decisions if we're going to be doing that. I agree with you that in this range here, after breaking through 5K, and if we look at the volume profile over the past, day or so, our highest volume spike was currently at our near-term bottoms so far around the 4777 area here, where we're seeing this bounce. Obviously, the real test here is just a hair over 5K, about 50.33 here, which we tried many times yesterday, or I guess it was early today, here on the 15-minute to break through, and we're just unable to. So that area represents so far on just this shorter time frame here, really the achievable area to break through. After 3 attempts to kind of break through here, we failed to, so we put in a lower test of support here. So for now, in the interim, we have and I'll make this green, that's showing that support area here. So we have a clean, tight range between 47.33 and 50, 60 area here. And until this area breaks one way or the other, that's kind of the signal I think we'll get for that next round there. If we do break 47.77 support, as you were talking about earlier, what's that next near-term area that we want to find support? I really want to look at the daily chart, Chaz, because we just closed the candle about an hour ago. So let's check out this candle and how we closed out the daily after back-to-back days, yesterday, the previous day, of tremendous volume. Yesterday's candle is a red candle. We have, bottom wicks here. We have upper wicks. We clearly have a lower, almost half the volume we've seen on the past couple days there.
Well, that's bullish, though. Look at, there's a lack of selling on that sell candle. So that's an argument for the bulls. It's just perhaps, where's the Bollingers, though? I feel like I'm naked.
Well, so here's, I'll get to that in a second here. So here's our range here, and we can see that now on the higher time frame, where we have clear on the daily double tap support, for 4777, and we have now almost 2 wicks that are right around this $50.70 to $5100 range as our upper area here. I think getting back up to $5,300, I feel this last $100 here, Cheds, is watching the price action in real time. Then that was the FOMO money.
Was that the up thrust? Was that the up thrust?
That was that last little push of just like FOMO
stupid money.
That if you started to scale into your shorts in that area,
I'm not trying to insult people,
but it was that last little push there of this move, and the volume was there, and a lot of this volume here, even though this candle closed green, a lot of this was profit taking on the tops here once 5,300 was breached so very quickly there. So let me have this, Cheds. I'll pull up the Bollingers as you requested here, and daily we're just,
that's what I'm saying,
almost back inside the upper Bollinger.
That's what I'm saying. So look, I mean, come on, right? I mean, it's not like, I don't know, it's not like the ETF got approved or something.
Right. Well, so we're clearly on the 4th day here of this bullish price selection. We just started. We've had 3 full days in. We're an hour into our full day. We've held support on most of the initial impulsive candle here, which
inside bar.
Which you have to argue with, especially with the last 2 days lower wicks here, is very promising. Being back inside the Bollinger, obviously on the daily, finally, we were just so overbought. Oh my God, Chats. I want to look at some of the daily indicators.
Go ahead.
I want to pull up just the RSI here. Intraday, I remember we were almost perking through 90. I know there isn't a shadow unfortunately with the RSI here, but we found support yesterday's close around 83. We're still in the low 80s here. I just want to point out the last couple times we've been up in this area. Back December here, pre-December, we were up here as high as 94 and had a very quick peak descent. Same thing back here in May. So we have examples of when we get up here in the RSI, we can definitely wiggle woggle, but these tend to be very quick moves that
Mhm.
do tend to correct rather quickly. Any comments on the RSI on the daily?
I mean, yeah, you pointed out as really high. Pointed out as really high before. It has to consolidate, and
Mhm.
you would think at least a dip below the power zone.
Below the power zone. That's really the important thing here. In these areas here, that's a very bullish Bitcoin.
Mhm.
Now, as the weekly, we have the daily here, finally getting rejected, both at almost 100 on both the indicators there. So we're seeing the bearish stochastic, on the highest of time frames there. I don't. Oh, yeah, Ed, on the highest of time frames there,
Mhm.
and that's showing that general almost pause, or almost the bull's a little tiring here on the
Mhm.
daily, and
Mhm.
we've been seeing that on you go below 12 hour, 6 hour, 4 hour. We've been seeing these over the past day here. Only on the 4 hour are we actually seeing
Right.
this little bullish spike here. So
Yep.
finally on the daily, we're seeing that tiring. And listen, this has been a big expanse since the last week of March all the way to where we are now.
Mhm.
You brought up the OBV earlier.
Mhm.
This, was a
Mm.
really telltale sign of this was much bullish
Look at that.
than the price action of Bitcoin. This broke out to a higher high before Bitcoin did. So this was a great
Well, look
indicator.
at that signal. Look at the downtrend break. Draw it with your
Yeah.
eye. Scroll out a little bit and just draw the downtrend break, and that's just right
Ah,
before it jumps out on the OBV. Yeah, from the upper left to the bottom right. Like draw that diagonal on the peaks of the OBV. Nope, on the upper parts of it. Yeah, and then pull that out. Nope. So
Now,
start this all the way at the top, right? Start where you have BTC in the upper left-hand corner and draw straight
uh,
down.
yeah. So,
So,
well,
but you
I'm
see the downtrend break right after that is when the OBV spiked up right there
yeah.
at right there is kind of where the break happened. So that's interesting.
Yeah, and this happened, mind you, before the $4,200 area was actually broken on the price action.
Mhm, mhm.
And
Yes.
but I find this very interesting, Chance, because
Yeah.
this area here, remember, this was October, November. This
Yeah.
was this was Bitcoin still above 6K. We now
Mhm.
have the similar area of our OBV, right? But
Uh-huh.
Bitcoin is almost $1,000 less
Right.
than it currently is from that there. So,
Mhm.
I mean, I don't really know how to interpret this. We're still around the 5K. We're still actually under
Well,
5K, right?
well, we need to look at if we want to interpret it, we have to look at the price and the OBV to kind of reflect it one upon the other. So if there's divergence or not. It's hard for
Well,
me to look at it in a vacuum, and I know you have them all up.
well, we know the chart here. I mean, this is what 6K Bitcoin was
Yeah.
like. So right now, the OBV is representing a price action that should be back around 6K,
Yep.
and it's not. We're at 49.36 here. So I do find that interesting that we're basically seeing a higher high
Mhm.
in the
So
OBV.
exactly. So it's a little bit stronger. It's still being
That's what
loaded, but we have to understand there's going to be profit taking, and there's always an ebb and flow. So you have to. It's just kind of what is the you want to know like what's the texture of the consolidation going to be, right? Because there's always we've watched plays, in different markets, Big Chonis, and we've seen after epic runs there can be other legs, right? Multiple bull legs to come, but it's always after a period of consolidation, and it's the texture, it's the makeup of that consolidation period, which gives you clues, kind of, to whether or not what's going to happen, at the end of that pattern, bull flag, bull pennant, ascending triangle, X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, so here's Bitcoin, and we're like at
There we go.
5,200,
Yep.
and you have the OBV representing a
Yes.
Bitcoin price action that should be up here almost at
See, that's
$6,400,
astute. That's an astute observation right there.
right? So the
Mhm.
loading of the OBV, and this is strong. I mean, this is a very bullish sign. I really can't argue that this is a bearish divergence in any way here. This is showing strength.
Mhm.
And I also, just from a horizontal standpoint here on the OBV,
Yep.
if I may. So where have we found resistance? Just pull up this resistance here. And
Yeah.
actually the very peak of this area here we hit in September,
Mhm.
which was our highest high to that point, is currently showing that resistance where we're hitting
Mhm.
right now.
Mhm.
After that, there's kind of clear air, if you will, to this next area that
I
would
just
put
think
the
I think it's
OBV.
we should be
Yeah.
careful comparing it one to one because the context previously was in a
Hmm.
downtrend.
Hmm.
So if we agree that we're in an uptrend, perhaps, or beginning one, it doesn't make sense, perhaps, to compare resistance in OBV to from the uptrend to a downtrend, right? Because it's just kind of a different. It's just a different context, in my view.
Well, yeah, I think what's going to be interesting to see is if we really start to fade this rally, I think the OBV in itself will actually be a very potentially early indicator of such. Chez, if I may, I want
Go
to
ahead.
go to the weekly chart here.
Yeah.
I know it's Thursday. I know we still have about a few more days left in the week, but I wanted
Mm,
to do a few indicators on a little higher time frame.
mm.
Get your thoughts on them. Start with the Bollingers here. We are still outside our upper Bollinger, dude. First time outside the upper
Wow.
BB since the 20K break.
Wow.
All the way back to December of 17 here. And
Mm-hmm.
we rode this upper BB, right, the last several weeks of that bull
Yep.
run,
Mm-hmm.
boom, 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 boom. So we've not been above and closed above upper Bollinger. Now,
And pull back to middle. Let's go back.
yeah.
So pullbacks are middle BB. So in theory, if our fast forward a few months, our middle BB starts to curl back up, and maybe that becomes support. You see what I'm saying?
That's a great point because it was acting as resistance so many times here.
Yes, and we've already broken it. Yeah.
I don't like breaking a major resistance such as the upper Bollinger on the weekly, and I do consider this in a way because of the first touch a resistance area. The next 4 days here, I mean, I'd like to close above it. That would be a very bullish signal for continuation here. But I honestly would not be surprised if we end up, right inside of it. If we close out the week at some point here, because we talk about the bearishness here that we had on the way down, and we did close outside the bottom Bollinger, 4 weeks in a row here. We aren't as tight as we were then, but we definitely have expansion to at least be outside either way for a couple weeks before I think an extreme area is hit. But for now, as you pointed out, middle Bollinger, which was once very strong resistance, could be acting as support. And every week going forward, this could be rising currently at 3,800.
Okay, I think I'm be curious to see the volume profile as this candle completes, how much volume it is, how big the upper shadow is. If you're talking about being above the upper BB, I want to see what happened last time it pinched on the bull way up, not the bear way up. Because if you go back, I was looking for a little bit of context. If you go right there, April, don't too far back, 27, 18, April 2017. All right. If you go to April 2017, we pierced the upper April 2017. Readjust it so you can see it. Yeah, right about there, right? You started to raise a pinch. Okay, there's your pinch, and then boom. At the end of April, May, you're right in the upper BB, like you said, and it's kind of after a pinch. Right there, right. So that's, I'm trying to compare that to now potentially. Not February, but April, Big Chonis. Right?
In terms of what the spacing of the Bollinger?
In terms of the price reacting to a Bollinger pinch and potentially riding the upper BB, which now look at ours, right? And what do we have? We have the Bollinger pinch, and we're potentially going to ride the upper BB up the same way as before. That's a potential scenario as well that
I mean, in the sense that we're definitely pinching in a way we have not, definitely since, I'd say, as you said, about April, May of 2017. So we're right there, very similar spacing.
Yeah.
I just think that, I mean, listen, to get to this spreading out of the Bollingers here on the weekly, this amazing parabola,
nuts.
It took months, it took a year.
Do we want that? Is that going to happen again, or do we want kind of a more measured move going?
I agree.
Forward?
I think we have to get months or weeks ahead of us where we have a very stable Bitcoin tightening our Bollingers in a way that's much more pronounced. And you see, once the bull market really started taking off, it was pretty evident in the Bollingers. Once the expansion started, it really never ceased. It did pinch here lastly in October of 16 here. But after that, the expansion accelerated. And if you just continue to ride that expansion,
maybe be pullback, and then even there, probably EMA 8. By that point, it was EMA 8.
As soon as you get to that acceleration there, that's when you start to bring into a lower time frame to just make sure you don't get, because once that parabola broke, the difference between $20,000 and $10,000 is a 50% pullback in like the week after there. So it went quickly, of course.
So,
just real quick here, weekly RSI. We talk about the bullish bearish divergence here. Again, weekly RSI is representing a Bitcoin RSI at least that was over 6K. Bitcoin price action 6K September, October, November was under 50 on the weekly RSI. We are now at 55 on the weekly RSI, a higher high. We've broken through all the near-term resistances, and the only last resistance not really hit on the horizontal is of terms of resistance here is this level right here. And that is just kind of the last in terms of horizontal resistance. So just a very bullish RSI. I just don't know if this move has reset the RSI in a way that can now allow it to, go down and kind of correct. Remember, we can put in a lower low on the price action and a higher low on the RSI.
All right. Yeah.
And just everything else obviously in the weekly is looking pretty strong here. Again, this is the OBV here. I was looking for some sort of head and shoulders here in the past, and kind of never came to fruition there. So very strong in the weekly. And Chads, I know we're only like 4 days into the monthly, but I just want to briefly look at the monthly because listen, we're outside the upper Bollinger on the daily, the weekly.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Is it prudent at this point to look at the middle BB on the monthly?
No.
Currently at $6,700.
I mean, look at it. I mean, yeah, I'm looking at it. It's right in my face, but
right.
I'm not even looking at this candle. That candle doesn't exist.
It's a good point. We're only 4 days.
Yeah, just don't even look at that candle.
Yeah.
I'll point out one quick thing, and then I'll let you go wherever you want in the weekly. I was noticing a volume trend break.
Mm-hmm.
Go back to the weekly.
Mm-hmm.
On Bitcoin, and I saw a parallel back to that April 15th. See the volume trend break, how it's trending down, and then boom, this candle we're in is the trend break. So that if you go back, you saw the exact same thing in that April 17 in response to the pinch.
In terms of the volume increasing?
April 17, yeah, zoom it out so you can see it. There's the trend break there, that bar. Right there. You see that there's a right there, left. That right there is the trend break bar.
Yeah.
See that's the volume trend break bar, upper BB break, break the upper BB and right there. So it's a parallel. I'm not gonna, and then last thing, since 20K, you'll note the price has never been able to close above the middle Bollinger twice. We initially tried in what is that, March 2018?
Mm-hmm.
You see that we closed above it once by a little bit. March right there, March 2018, right above the middle Bollinger.
Yep.
Right.
For just a week there, right?
Right. Yeah. One time. We haven't done it I'm saying twice in a row. Okay. Came back rejected, came back, closed above once again in July, August or whatever. Right. And now rejection. Okay. Now are we going to close above it now twice?
That's a good point. I mean, last week's candle was the first one since right here, January of 2018, where we opened and closed above middle Bollinger.
Look at you. Okay. Okay.
So that in itself was a very interesting point last week that potentially could have called in the scenario of this week here.
Yeah.
Chads, I really just want to do a quick reset here. We got 139 of our closest friends watching here.
Yeah.
Only 23 thumbs up. Remember, you guys, hit that thumbs up there. This is Big Chonis coming to you guys live. I got Big Chads at Big Chads in the house here. We're talking about Bitcoin's amazing price action we've had this week, this day. We're looking at indicators all around. Chads, I want to bring up the TD9 indicator here because there's a couple of interesting things that are in confluence. And we talk about the word confluence and when certain things kind of correspond on various time frames. We are on a weekly TD9. This is basically a gauge of trend. And normally the way this works is when you get to a 9 count, and especially a perfected 9, which is basically the top candle, especially including the shape of the candle itself, these tend to suggest a potentially near-term or longer-term trend reversal. So we are on a 9 on the weekly here. We still have several days left to go. On the 3-day, we are actually past a 9. We closed the previous 3-day candle on a 9. And yesterday's daily candle, mind you, closed on a 9 as well. So we are also past a 9 on the daily candle. So we got 3 9s here, 999. Play the lottery, 999.
Herman Cain,
9999. And so that's interesting. That's very bullish. Now, the 9 does not necessarily represent the end of a particular trend, but what it does represent is potentially a 1 to 4 candle pause of trend indecision before a
Consolidation.
before a continuation is established.
Mm.
Because we have this on a daily, 3-day, and weekly, that could take us into the several weeks into April in this consolidation period around the 5K area
Yep.
before the next major move in the market could take place as the market decides if it wants to retest these higher areas. And I want to just talk about, Chad, to kind of sum up the whole thing here.
Yeah.
We have running room to go higher, right?
Okay.
We have running room to go lower to find supports. So I want to talk about where are the key supports we want to hold and where are the key resistances.
Oh,
that are still in play.
resistance all day, baby.
So let's start with resistance first. Now, we have currently wicked out at $5,300. We are corresponding that resistance with this candle area back here, this cluster. Mid-November, we were here for several days finding support between 5,200 and resistance as high as $5,600. So, Chad, do you think we can get as high as $5,600 here on this move?
I mean, we could, but clearly, bears have. I mean, technically speaking, bears have already rejected higher prices. That's what the upper shadow, the upper wick on our second to last candle represent. That corresponds with, as you pointed out, a previous area of supply, which is turned into. Previous area of demand, which is now turned into supply. Support, which is now resistance.
So you brought the supply number in there, and I'm just compelled to bring up my VPVR.
Volume gap.
Because here's our window, and you can see how quickly we were able to rise through this area, and this kind of explains as to why we were.
Right.
We have a very big gap in terms of volume price action in the, $4,400 all the way up to, we get a little pause here, kind of right here in this gap between.
Well, there's not even that much. You're actually convincing me that there's not much resistance there.
Yeah,
it's really, it's like 6K.
It's almost 6K. If you
it
can
really
argue,
is.
where is the next area of supercilious, super resistance, kryptonite? Can't get through here. Trojan of resistance areas, and the VPVR is telling us basically up to the high 5,900s.
You should tweet that. I bet you get 100 retweets. People will be like.
Is a possibility. Yeah. I mean, this is what the VPVR is showing us. And the fact that we've stopped here currently literally just corresponds with this cluster here. Now, I will bring back, let's bring it back a little farther. I mentioned, this cluster right here. We go back to 2017, Chads, when you were just a boy. And we have price history there as well, where 5,100 acted as resistance to support, back to resistance, back to support. So there's history between $5,100 to $5,400 is here as well.
We've talked about it before. Anytime you have a pattern, you have like a flag, and then you have consolidation. There's always a consolidation period, cluster, and that's going to become support or resistance later, depending on kind of the context of the chart. So what that means is we should be expecting more consolidation now as well. It's just, this is natural. This is just part of the ebb and the flow.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the hopefully this move brought a lot of people into crypto, opened up some eyes. It was nice to see the mainstream media, talk about this
mainstream media.
Indeed, it is. So that's an area of really the next resistances. I just want to bring up a couple things here, and I want to just do a higher time frame thing here. This is my triple MA moving averages to get the MA 50, 100, and 200. I want to start on the weekly chart here. So listen, Cheds, after 2 consecutive MA 200 support, tremendous bounce.
And back in 15 too. Also back in 2015.
Good point. We can definitely bring that up there. But MA 50 resistance has yet to be tested. Now this guy's fallen quickly here on the weekly chart here. We are currently this week. If we want to try it this week, we're at 5,700.
See, I actually don't think it's resistance until it's proven to be resistance. It's just a line. It's just a MA 50.
But notice where it touched.
All right, that's a pretty good argument. That's a little better argument.
In price action there. So we have
fine.
The exact MA that Bitcoin was unable to break through.
Do you see a downtrend break? If you take those peaks, the downsloping trend line and the peaks there, we kind of have a downtrend break, don't we?
Well, I don't think we kind of do. We do.
We did to do it. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. So we
and
downtrend break. So are we, I don't think we'll back
well,
test that though. That's
we
kind of
have that in log, or we have that in linear
no,
now.
we did back test that. That was a clue. I don't know. We both put out tweets on like
But
12-hour
we
time frame.
also we also broke it in log,
Yeah.
and we broke it in linear. Several days prior, log was on this move here, obviously in the weekly, and as you said, a back test when you break a major resistance is prudent,
Yeah.
and this could bring that support, down to as low as 4674 area
Yeah. Yeah.
before we find that support. So that's the weekly there. I just want to go into the 3 day. I do find it currently notable. MA 100 resistance has acted as the
Does,
current
does
resistance
anyone
on the
look at a 3 day?
3 day
Is that
chart.
like a thing or is that for TD?
It's totally a thing, man. Totes a thing, because I can tell you many examples here, especially with the MA50, where it touched it to the penny.
Right.
The
I mean,
penny.
in general, like, are you just picking this time frame because right here it hit the MA50? No, like that's not the answer to why you're using a 3 day. Like, what's the? Is it
It just shows how bullish it is, and because we broke through it on the 2 day, the 1 day, and lower time frames, the fact
two
that
day? The two
why
day?
not? It's a 48-hour chart here.
Because it's like at some point you got to pick a method and stick with it, and then be best with that method and be best.
Well, oh geez. Um, what we're looking for is, once you're bullish on the 5 minute and the 15 and the hourly and the 4 hour and the 6 hour and the
Okay.
12 hour and the daily. So the higher the time frames go, where all
Yeah.
your moving averages are fanning out bullishly,
Don't you go daily to weekly?
the
Like
more trendy you can be. So MA 200 on the daily here, this
yeah.
was a target that we were watching. Haven't been over it. I remember resistance haven't actually been
Yeah.
over it since back
Yeah.
in March of 18th, a full year, my friend.
Yeah.
And we're just blasted through it. This is a back test I'm actually very curious about. MA 200 again in the $4,600 area. Now, Cheds,
Yeah.
we're holding a very bullish Bitcoin here as we're just an hour into the new day here.
Mhm.
We're holding in the high $4,800 here. I kind of want to wrap up the show
Okay.
with what you think this week is going to play out with. What are the key things you'll be watching for as the next several days of Bitcoin price action takes place?
Well, I think we're clearly consolidating. We have, as I pointed out, we have the bears rejecting higher prices with that upper shadow to 5,300. So we going to want to watch support. I talked about earlier Japanese candlestick theory. That large candle, that large real candle body from a couple days ago on the 3rd, I believe, Big Chonis here on the daily. The size of that candle suggests continuation. We got a little continuation with that big upper shadow. Okay, so maybe that qualified. But what it also matters is support's going to be at the midpoint of that big green candle. So that's 4,500. So I see support right around 45, 4,600. Which would also correspond to the prior peaks. So what we're watching for, we're going to want to watch for what is the rate of the volume on this consolidation. We're going to want to watch for kind of the texture, like our big upper shadows, lower shadows. We're going to want to look for the texture. Are there dojis? Kind of everything in context. We're looking to see how price interacts with support, kind of the rate of the sell-off, kind of the power behind each move. And I think really we're just going to have to let it play out, but really it's just the volume to watch.
Yeah, I think the volume is going to be really a strong indicator as if we can find the continuation we want to find here. Volume was clearly key in this bullish breakout. I just want to bring up a really quick thing here about our retracement currently from our most recent swing low. March 25th, we were at 38.54. We broke $1,000 higher all the way up to 53.52. The retracement from that most recent swing low to high has found support twice, right at the 382 Fibonacci retracement, almost to the penny here, around 47.80s. Let's call it the high 4700s are there. If this can hold, then we basically have a consolidation area, a very bullish Bitcoin here. As you said, ideally getting back to around the 50% midpoint here, somewhere in the 4600s, maybe high 4700, high 45s would be a much more conservative ideal support area to basically find that next impulsive move higher there. And then just all around here, let's just not forget just our, I guess Cheds, is it agreeable now that this was an ascending triangle breakout of Bitcoin here? I think this pattern kind of is now confirmed as an ascending breakout triangle
I think it's certainly
here.
acceptable. I think that's certainly acceptable. Absolutely.
and that this neckline breakout, I guess if you want to
I
call it
wouldn't
that,
call it a
around,
neckline, but I mean,
uh,
if you're going to call it an ascending triangle, then you kind of have your target, the height of the triangle, and we're kind of close to it. We kind of did that almost with that shadow.
yeah, I mean, if you think about a measured move from basically the 3200s all the way up to the 4200s there, and impose that on where we went to where we
Yeah.
are, we just surpassed that by, like, under $100 there.
Mm-hmm.
So as you said, that measured move, also corresponding with this, potential kind of inverse head and shoulders here, which
Look,
also
we don't
pretty,
even have to complicate it. What
yeah.
matters is we have higher lows, and we were able to establish higher lows. Litecoin led the way,
Hmm.
started with the higher lows. Bitcoin failed on the first higher low attempt,
Hmm.
on the first initial inverted head and shoulders attempt there, right at the end of December, in 2000. As the year was turning over, right, we lost our higher low there, right in the middle of January. It failed. Boom, February, we're breaking down. Meanwhile, Litecoin's continuing to put in a higher low. So we finally put in our higher low early February, new higher low in March, and then boom, end of April. So it's just the higher lows are what matters to me. You have to show a rising area of demand.
Yeah, listen, this Bitcoin and this crypto market really has been very bullish since around this February 8th impulsive day here, where we shot from $3,300 all the way up to $3,600. I remember you saying
Mhm.
on this candle and the consolidation of it, this
Yep.
was a very bullish consolidation here, and that you expected some higher price action. And
Absolutely. Look at the lack of volume when the sell off,
yep, yep.
and the size of that candle suggested continuation, and boom, we got it.
And sure enough, so we've been in an uptrend pretty much ever since this bullish impulsive move
Yeah.
here,
Mhm.
and we're going to see, kind of where it takes us to continue this.
Well, look at
Still
this.
several
Let me
days.
point out. Let me point out. Look at that first green candle that started the party back in middle to end of December. That first big green candle. Okay. Go back to that time frame we were on, and I'll just last point. That first big green candle back at the end of December. Yep. Look at the midpoint. Show me the midpoint. Oh,
Right there. Yeah,
wow. Look, that's where the price found support in the
yeah,
middle of February. Right.
yeah. And that was a
That's
support.
exactly of that candle. That's
Mhm.
classic candlestick theory, Japanese candlestick theory, right there.
Yeah, I mean, it was a test, and then it was a back test.
Boom.
And it's funny if you look at right now, this current price action we have here. We have this test earlier of support, and
Yep.
then we have this back test bounce. We're still putting this lower high here, but we're still ranging in the high 4900s here. I call it, the volume's consistent. And listen, we expected a pullback after being so incredibly bullish here. This pullback has reset many of our very overbought indicators on a lot of higher time frames there, and just very exciting to see where this week will end up. So with that, 140 of our closest friends, guys, please hit that thumbs up button. Please give out a follow. Please follow my buddy at Big Cheds on Twitter, Cheds Trading on YouTube. He's a founding member of Bitcoin Live. Please follow me at Big Chonis on Twitter, Chonis Trading on YouTube. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Cheds, any final thoughts, last words?
Yeah, you guys definitely should check out Big Chonis. He has a mentoring, a one-on-one mentoring. He does a great job. I know he enjoys it, and he takes some time. If you're interested in that, I would definitely check that out. If you're interested in Bitcoin Live, I know Big Chonis does a great job. He's a feature contributor, and you can see he and I have kind of slightly different styles. We both kind of add something, and I think you'll enjoy that experience. There's a lot of great teachers. But other than that, I hope to do a show again with you soon. And beyond that, we're still getting beers in an hour.
Yeah, Cheds. I mean, I'm up for anything. It's still pretty early here, so and again with Bitcoin, this could go all night long. So with that,
Okay.
guys, thanks so much. Remember to hit those thumbs up, Cheds. You're my man, you're my friend. Much appreciated. We will talk to you guys soon. This Big Chonis, Big Cheds signing out. You guys are awesome. Peace.
Peace.